Borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and CPTSD. A lot of people coming away from narcissistic relationships or those who have been abused by a narcissist can question whether or not they are a narcissist themselves. This video is to explain more on why you are most likely not a narcissist and the people that you might be dealing with. I'm Elizabeth Shaw. Welcome to the channel, which is all about the narcissistic personality disorder, to give you more understanding of those you might be dealing with in your life, how to recover from narcissistic abuse, and how to handle those in your life that might be causing you some difficulties. Now, abuse is abuse, so those who are toxic, those who are dangerous, you do need to find a safe way of removing yourself from their lives, letting them go their way and you go your way. Borderline personality disorder, BPD, and narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, are both cluster B personality disorders. Often those with NPD can be misdiagnosed with having BPD. Those with BPD who've come away from a narcissistic relationship can believe that they are a narcissist due to the behaviours of BPD. Also, those of us that are left with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, can be misdiagnosed with BPD. So, what are the differences and what could you be dealing with within yourself and with those around you? BPD and CPTSD. People with borderline personality disorder can feel like their whole lives are on one long roller coaster. Those with CPTSD can also feel this way, with relationships and emotions seemingly extremely unstable at times, not knowing who they indeed are, no real self-image, full of self-doubt, feeling confused, disorientated, and things like they don't even know what they like or dislike, changing from one day to the next. Those with BPD or CPTSD can both trigger easily and are often extremely sensitive when events, people, or their own perceptions trigger their emotions. Their emotions can be extremely volatile, needing lots of reassurance. They often find it difficult to self-soothe and it takes time to calm down. This can leave them feeling emotionally and physically drained. Both those with CPTSD and BPD can become anxious or depressed very easily. They can most often, yet not always, be prone to self-harming. Narcissistic abuse can and often does grow the amygdala within our minds. This is the part of our brain that houses our emotions. The amygdala helps to coordinate our responses to those things in our reality. This part of our brain is the part that plays a role in our emotional responses, especially our responses to fear and anger. When in a narcissistic relationship, be it our parents, partner, family members, friends, with the narcissist gaslighting, blame shifting, provoking, and the other manipulative games they play, it causes our emotions to respond, which grows our amygdala, which heightens our feelings, sometimes to the extreme, making fear and anger become extreme. Then we have the hippocampus within our minds, which houses our memories, and this often shrinks in people who've been mentally abused. And the hippocampus helps regulate memories that are also connected to our emotions. So if you fear something from a past experience, your hippocampus can actually wipe the memory out. Yet you've still got some sort of sense of fear there. So your amygdala can cause irrational fear in things that could potentially trigger past pains to avoid you going through that painful experience again. It is actually designed to help you, but unfortunately, with prolonged long-term abuse, it ends up causing us more self-harm. These things can lead to anxiety, and often irrational anxiety, leading to emotional outbursts. Our minds are then unable to control our emotions as easily as those who've not suffered at the hands of a narcissist. Often we can become so uncontrollable within our emotions, we can then end up lashing out, going on benders, fearing abandonment, becoming addicted to drugs, legal or illegal, smoking, drinking, cannabis, cocaine, as a coping mechanism. Then thinking that we could be the narcissist, or that our child, parent, partner could be a narcissist. And this is why often when people are in a narcissistic relationship, they can potentially end up struggling with CPTSD or BPD, and they often end up looking like the abusive one, even though they're not the ones causing the abuse. It's very difficult to pinpoint which one is the abusive partner unless you've actually lived that situation. Only you know what truly went on and to what extent things happened. If you're dealing with someone who has BPD or CPTSD and it's harming you, then you need outside help for them. They have to want to change, and it requires work and support. If you're dealing with someone who's NPD, you need to walk away safely for your own sanity. No matter what, no one deserves to be abused. The reason behind someone's behaviour is a reason. It's never an excuse. And we all make mistakes. So if anyone's listening who's been diagnosed with BPD or has had emotional outbursts with CPTSD, we are allowed to make mistakes, and it's not justifying behaviours, it is mistakes, but the key thing is to learn from them and not continue those behaviours, to heal, recover, remove feelings of guilt, remove feelings of remorse, move on and not do it again. There is a link at the bottom for BetterHelp to help. Everyone's been through different situations and circumstances, so it's finding the right help for you. The fear of being abandoned can lead people with CPTSD and BPD to lash out at those they love the most, or to think of suicide as they feel so low, so empty, so misunderstood, so helpless. They feel there is no other way out. Sometimes people threaten suicide for attention or from desperation. Suicide is serious and should always be taken seriously. The 9 symptoms of BPD. To have the disorder, a person would need at least 5 out of the 9 criteria below. Number 1, fear of abandonment. Those with BPD can have a real fear of being abandoned to the point where it can have a massive impact on their daily lives and their loved ones, often pushing loved ones away. They can react when they feel like someone hasn't explained why they're going to be late. They can react when those they love are 5 minutes late. When those they love want to go away with friends or family, they can fear abandonment and they can react. They can track the movements of their loved ones. They can plead, beg, cause arguments to stop loved ones doing what they want to do, which is similar to how those with NPD can react, and often why people coming away from a narcissistic relationship can then question if they are a narcissist, especially when there is little to no trust. So they don't want the other one going away. If they've become paranoid and suspicious because their instincts are speaking out about what their partner is up to or those around them. So it doesn't mean you have NPD if you fear abandonment, and it doesn't mean you have BPD if you fear abandonment. But that's how it can cross over between NPD and BPD, and people can feel that they might be narcissistic because their behaviours match those of a narcissist, even though they are not narcissistic within themselves. 2, feelings of suspicion. When under stress, feeling like you're having an out-of-body experience, or feelings of paranoia. Again, not to be mixed with instincts. If someone continues to hurt you, let you down and cheat you, this is not being suspicious of their behaviour. This is accurately describing who they are and the things that they do to you. 3, anger. Having a very short temper with outbursts of anger, throwing things, screaming, shouting. And this can be at themselves or in anger or towards those around them. Now, when you've got people provoking you on a continued basis, we all have an ugly side. We all have a breaking point. We can all reach our limits where we might throw something across a room. No, it doesn't make it right, but it can happen. So if you've been prone to short anger outbursts, it doesn't mean you have NPD, it doesn't mean you have BPD. You have to look at the situation as a whole of what actually happened to you, what you were around. Things like this can happen day to day within people's lives. Not really day to day, but it can happen within people's lives. So don't go self-diagnosing. 4, feelings of emptiness, feelings of being nothing, having nothing, can lead to filling that in a void by overeating, overspending, sex, alcohol, drugs, but nothing ever seems to satisfy. Now, when you've been abused by narcissistic people, it can leave you with self-doubt. It can leave you isolating yourself from others. So again, don't go diagnosing yourself with BPD. You're best off getting professionals to do things like that. And people can have feelings of self-doubt and feelings of not being good enough. And it doesn't mean they have a personality disorder. It just means they're human. 5, emotional mood swings. Unstable mood swings. 1 minute happy, the next sad. And again, we can all have those moments where you just get up and you've no idea what's wrong. You just don't feel good. And it's about training your mind to shift those thoughts, to find the positives, to find the happiness and to pick yourself up. 6, self-harm, attempting to hurt themselves without suicidal intentions, more to try and release the inner pain, or threats of suicide, actual attempts of suicide, behaviour that's harmful towards others or damaging property. And this is where it gets more serious, because obviously there's a need for help and support. Anyone who's thinking suicidal thoughts, and anyone who's listening to this that has or is thinking suicidal thoughts, you are not alone. Get the help and support that you need. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel embarrassed. When you hit that point where you feel that there is no way out, you need help and support as soon as you can get some. Because it happens. Life's hard. Life's tough. Things happen. When you've got things coming at you one after another, and your emotions are all over, and you might have done things that you're not proud of. We've all done things that we are not proud of. It can hit hard, but there is always a way out. There is always another way. There is a way to leave your past behind and move on with your future. 7, self-destructive behaviours, so risk-taking behaviours that harms themselves and those around them. Again, things like taking drugs, unsafe and inappropriate sexual conduct, binge eating, driving dangerously, spending too much money, just to try and feel something within. 8, no real sense of self, sometimes thinking poorly of themselves as they are a bad person, even though they're not. It's just life happens. Hating themselves, and at other times then feeling good about themselves. No long-term goals or plans or dreams of what they want in life, changing jobs often, values, beliefs, religions, friends or partners also being changed often. 9. Unstable relationships, falling in love fast only to have short-lived yet intense relationships, going to extreme lengths to avoid a relationship breaking down, begging, pleading, self-harm. NPD. To have NPD, again, a person would need to have 5 out of the 9 from the criteria below. 1. A sense of entitlement. They believe they have the right to anything and everything they want. What's yours is mine and what's mine is my own attitude. 2. Arrogance and domineerance. They are proud of who they are. Some will be obvious in showing it and some will hide it away. 3. Exploitative. Whatever they do is only ever to meet a need of their own. 4. Grandiose. If they show it or not, they believe they are superior to all others. 5. Jealous and envious. They are never truly happy and always want more. 6. Lack of empathy. They cannot truly feel what others do feel, and they cannot put themselves in another person's shoes. They cannot feel remorse for the things that they do to other people. They don't feel guilt for the things they do. They cannot see how their behaviour would potentially hurt another person. And that's where BPD's different to NPD, because those with BPD can understand how their behaviour affects others, and they can worry about how their behaviour affects others. They feel guilty about how their behaviour affects others, and then they can end up self-harming and going on that spiral. Back to NPD. Preoccupied with power and success. Those who are successful will brag. Those who are not will blame all others for the fact that they aren't successful. 8. Requires excessive attention. They need to be admired by others through either fear or love. They just want the attention. They just want to be admired. 9. The belief they are special. They believe they are above all others and everyone else is inferior to them. C-PTSD. Common symptoms of C-PTSD. Number 1, flashbacks. Reliving events from the past, intense distress, vivid nightmares, intrusive thoughts, physical body pain, nausea. 2, anxiety, a sense of dread, feeling on edge, becoming easily upset or angry, disturbed sleep, easily angered or aggressive, self-destructive behaviour. 3, paranoid, difficulty with beliefs, not being able to trust in others, feeling that no one understands them, feeling that nowhere is safe, overwhelming feelings of sadness, emptiness, pain or guilt, and a lot of self-blame. 4, self-destructive, difficulty in holding down a job, difficulty in maintaining relationships or friendships, inability to cope with change. And 5, self-harm. So even if it's just suicidal thoughts or actual self-harming, and then anxiety, depression, panic attacks, which is, even though it can't be helped, anxiety is self-harm. Misdiagnosis is common with NPD, BPD and C-PTSD, as all 3 can lash out at other people. People suffering from any of these can all potentially have difficulty maintaining a relationship. They can all have explosive bouts of anger. They can all cause arguments. They can all throw things. They can all potentially self-harm in one way or another. Why it's always vital to take those threats of suicide seriously and seek support for other people, even if the support isn't from yourself. They can all potentially have difficulty holding down a job. They can all drive recklessly, all overindulge in spending. They can all potentially use drugs, legal or illegal, to self-soothe. And they can all possibly be paranoid. They can all fear abandonment. This is why when those leaving any form of narcissistic relationship that could be left with CPTSD or BPD, Primarily those raised by narcissistic parents, then going from one narcissistic partner to the next, can, once they start learning about the disorder, believe they themselves are suffering from NPD. And one of the main differences, those suffering from NPD blame all others. Those suffering from C-PTSD or BPD often look inwards and blame themselves. Yes, they can have a traumatic childhood and they can look back and blame their childhood, but they often torture themselves inwardly rather than a narcissist will blame others for the things wrong within their lives. The 3 things to look out for and not to be confused with BPD are self-entitlement. And I say not to be confused with BPD because those with BPD can believe they deserve happiness due to the troubled past, whereas a narcissist believes they are entitled to anything and everything they want whenever they want. Exploitation, exploiting others with intent, going into whatever relationship with the intentions of ripping somebody off or exploiting others. No empathy, and not just because you believe someone has hurt you badly that you really want karma to hit them hard. Having no empathy for anyone or the things you've done to people. If you start with good intentions, don't exploit others and don't always feel entitled and have empathy for others, you're not NPD. And if you're asking if you are, most likely you're not. Causes of BPD and NPD and often C-PTSD, but not always. Most professionals believe it can be anything from inherited to external environment to internal biological factors. Personally, I think the most common root cause is trauma, suffering from any experience that is deemed traumatic to that individual person, then dealing with the daily struggle to overcome the trauma. Also learn behaviour and coping mechanisms to deal with the emotional traumas. Recovery. At the end is a link for additional help and support from BetterHelp, as we all recover differently and the support we require is individual to ourselves. Some can with online tips, others need extra help and support as what you've been through is individual to you. Take care of yourself depending on where you're at. It takes daily practice to get these things into alignment, but here's a few self-help tips. Start at a place where you're not overwhelmed. 1, exercise. If you don't already, then start steady with a 10-minute walk, 10-minute stroll, or a 5-minute jog up and down the stairs, then build up to something or join team sports to begin building friendships. 2, healthy eating. Avoiding stimulants such as alcohol. Cut down at a pace that suits you if you do drink a lot of alcohol. Avoiding mood-altering stimulants. Seek support if required. Don't dive straight in. 3, sleep. Not easy when dealing with symptoms of C-PTSD or BPD, even if you don't actually have them, or dealing with outside situations. Exercise actually helps rest. Think of great things you want from life as you fall asleep. If you wake up at 3, 4, 5, 6, instead of fighting to get back to sleep, and it can be challenging to start with depression, but just try getting up, reading a good book, getting some jobs done, getting a 20-minute workout routine in, a soak in the bath, a motivational video on as you go about your morning routine. 4, emotions. Again, when it comes with emotions, it's practice, time and patience. My mind controls my emotions. I control my mind. Focus on your thinking, taking extra care of your thoughts and feelings. They are all normal. If you're struggling from anger, punch the lights out of a pillow. Exercise, releasing emotions. You might even end up laughing, which helps shift your state of mind. Looking for things to be grateful for. Complaining less and being thankful more. And with all of it, it takes daily practice to get your mindset to where you want it to be, especially after childhood trauma or any form of trauma in life. 5, self-distraction. When you feel anxiety or anything coming on that you don't want to feel, put something funny on TV, make a vision board of your future, write down a list of 5 things to be grateful for, and a list of 5 things you'd like from your life. Expand on those ideas and keep writing. Have a soak in the bath, curl up in bed and call a friend. Get busy doing things that you need to do for you. Whatever works for you as an individual to distract yourself from those negative thoughts and feelings that you do not want in your life. 6, making a choice and facing your fears. Making a decision and within 5 seconds going for it. Choosing to think happy, choosing to believe in you, choosing to apply for that job, choosing to leave that relationship, choosing you, choosing life. Fears, don't allow them to hold you back. Use them to drive you forwards. You're worth so much more, and you can make the impossible possible, and you can become the best version of yourself. It all takes time, it all takes practice, but if you're looking for your help, you've already taken the first step. In the description, I shall add the links to the online courses that I do have on offer. There is a course with overcoming trauma bonding and anxiety. I'm quite full for one-to-one coaching at the moment, but I will add the link to the BetterHelp where you can find the right counsellors for you. And I shall add the video links on overcoming CPTSD and why you end up with anxiety around narcissistic people and how to overcome anxiety, and the trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze and fawn, as that's often why people end up with things like C-PTSD and BPD. Not always. BPD is a bit of a touchy subject because those that do suffer from it can react, and it's normal to react. If you have BPD, it's normal to react. It's normal to make judgments on how people are talking and things like that. Finding the right counsellor can be difficult because they fear abandonment, yet they can go to a counsellor, and counsellors aren't always equipped to deal with those with BPD. So then they feel like they get abandoned from the counsellor. So it's finding the right therapist, the right counsellor, the right people that can help you. The same with C-PTSD. It's all about finding the things that help you personally as a person, and we are all individuals, so it's finding what works for you. Looking for the positives in life, building yourself back up, just starting where you are from today and keep going. And again, those with the NPD that are within your life, if you can learn to manage who you are around them, you don't necessarily have to cut them off. It depends where they are on the spectrum. Some are dangerous, some are severe, and some you do need to move miles away from. Only you know the experience you've been through. Only you know what you're going through now. Just please know that you are not alone in how you feel. There is others that feel how you do. And in the comments, anything that's helped you work through this, any books or resources that you found that has helped you personally through this. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.